So just continuing on in our exploration of simplicity and that willingness to just lay it all aside. Just, sometimes we just make things so complex. We love thinking and figuring it out and solving all the problems. And sometimes there's just this stepping back, the stepping back that just says, actually, it's already right here. And so I thought I would share a story with you. It's a story I'm sure that some of you have heard before. It's one that I just absolutely love. And so there was this master, and this young man wanted to be a part of the school. Absolutely loved this and worked so hard, learned so much, preparing to get ready to work with this particular master. So he comes up to the master and he says, I want to be a part of your school. And the master says, no. And so he goes away. But the student, he's like, okay, well, I'll learn more then. I'll just get ready. I'll prepare. Will do whatever I need to do because this is amazing. I want to be a part of this school. And he comes back to the master and he says, I want to be a part of this school. Will you be my master? And the master says, no. And he goes away. And this young man's heartbroken, but he's not going to give up. He is going to learn. He's going to practice. He's going to make sure that he is completely ready to be a part of the school. Then one day, the master invites him in, and he's like, yes, finally. And the master sits down. The student sits in front of him, prospective student here. And there's a teapot and 2 cups of tea. This is a sacred ceremony. The student is elated. He finally gets to be with the master, having this sacred ceremony of sharing tea with this master. The master picks up the teapot and he starts to pour the tea. And there's just this wonderful scent of jasmine wafting through the air, and the scent and this, just the steam is just perfect, utterly perfect. This sacred tea just being poured in the cup. The student is elated, and the master keeps pouring. The cup is full. The master keeps pouring. The tea falls onto the table. The master keeps pouring. It drips off the table onto the floor, and the student's like horrified. He's like, this is the sacred tea ceremony and you're pouring tea all over the floor. And he's just kind of taken aback, and he's like, master, what are you doing? The tea, it's filling it's all over the place. The cup is full. And the master puts down the teapot. He looks at the student and he says, exactly so. Sometimes our cup is too full. Sometimes there's so much fullness that there's no room for something new. And part of this work is actually emptying the teapot, emptying the teacup, making room for what is sacred and good and new and fresh. But when our teacup is full, there's just no room, and it just kind of pours out everywhere. And so part of our practice here is, yes, we learn these techniques, we learn these ways of relating to our experience. And there is this practice of stepping back and saying, what do I need to clean out? What do I need to let go of? How do I empty the teapot? How do I empty the thoughts, the beliefs, the stories? How do I make room so that there's just pure emptiness here? A lot of times we react to emptiness. We want to fill it. We want the filling. And so we're afraid to let go. We're afraid to empty. And yet, that's when you get the good stuff. So we're going to practice today with a meditation that we've done before, and this putting thoughts on clouds, just a way of being able to separate thoughts from observer. But as we go through this, I invite you to put whatever comes up on these clouds, thoughts, beliefs, history, stories, those names that you normally call yourself when nobody's listening, the things that kind of repeat in loops in your head. The one that's like, oh yeah, I know, let me tell you this story. This is how I know myself. All of those things, all of those things that are familiar. And so we'll just practice this. Again, there's the observer, there's the stuff happening. And what is it like to just put it out there? And again, it's just emptying the teacup over and over and over again until there is nothing, space, just openness. And that's it. And just experiencing that sense of, what if there's just nothing here except an empty teacup? What is that like? What does that feel like? All right. So let's go explore. So go ahead and get comfortable, closing your eyes. Perhaps taking a very deliberate breath, coming into this moment, into this body, in this time. Feeling the sensations that are here, right now. Using that breath as an anchor. And perhaps even noticing here, there can be some fullness in that sense of, oh yes, I know how to breathe. I know how to do this. I know how to tune in. Maybe even just a little chuckle at yourself, like, oh yeah, full teacup right there. I know how to meditate. Noticing the inhale and the exhale. Hearing the sound of your breath. That very soft, subtle inhale. And the whooshing of air on the exhale. And perhaps even noticing here too, where the mind wants to go ahead. It knows what it's going to look for. It knows its checklist of what to do with the breathing, and how to focus and pay attention. And again, just maybe that little chuckle, like, oh yes, my mind is full. Noticing the ribs as they expand and contract. Feeling the diaphragm pulling down on the inhale, floating back up on the exhale. Noticing where your breath wants to go as you breathe, whether it stays high up in your chest, in the middle of your chest, if it drops all the way down into your belly, or if it wants to expand all the way out to the edges of your skin. Just being curious and noticing, watching. How is the breath today in this moment? Perhaps noticing the back of your body, your shoulder blades, your spine. Noticing the ribs move as you breathe, right there in your back. Noticing the rhythm of your breath. The inhale, the pause, the top. The exhale, the pause at the bottom. Whether the inhale and exhale are similar or different in length. And there's no particular way you're supposed to be breathing. It's all just breathing. And then from here, doing your check-in, noticing the physical sensations that are present right now. Scanning through. You can even use that phrase, the physical sensation of tension in my chest is here, or the physical sensation of cold on the skin is here. Just stopping to notice all those little things that we tend to just skip over when scanning through the body. And then checking in with the thoughts. You can notice the content of the thoughts, what you're thinking about, whether you're in the past or the present, or the future planning. You can check in with how you're thinking, whether the thoughts are meandering or really tightly focused, or a little scattered, disjointed, or an ease and flow in the thoughts. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. There's no way that the thinking should be. And then checking in with emotions, noticing what's here right now. Could be lots of emotions or just one. I feel just pretty neutral. But just checking in, a temperature taking that says, oh yes, this is where I'm at right here in this moment. Breath, sensation, thoughts, emotions. I am here. I am present now. And from here, beginning to enter into that visualization, seeing a big blue sky in front of you, those white puffy clouds. You can be sitting on something comfortable. You can be laying on the ground looking up at the clouds. Just relaxed and easy. Perhaps you feel the crisp breeze on your skin. You can see the clouds moving up there. And sometimes it's fun to see the shapes in the clouds. And just taking a moment to drink in the colors, the blue, the white, the grays, the yellow of the sunlight. And then feeling yourself sitting, supported, your back supported, your seat. And you're just sitting, just watching. Feeling yourself just relaxed here on the earth. And as thoughts come up, you just put them on the clouds and watch them drift on their way. You can simply say, there's a thought. Here's another thought. And another thought. You can label them. Here's a judging thought. Here's a thought about the future. Here's a rehearsing of a conversation that I had last week. Just letting it go up there And noticing when you get hooked into it and you want to actually start telling the story about, well, there's this thought which means of this, and then I have to go do that, and then there's all this over here. And you just take a breath. Feel your seat, feel yourself supported, and put that thought way up there in the clouds. Let it go on its way. As each thought comes up, it could be a whole just waterfall of thoughts, putting them up there and letting them go. Noticing when you want to hold on to them or push it away faster to make it go away. Realizing that you're not actually getting rid of anything. You're not getting rid of these thoughts. You're simply putting them out there, making space. Feeling that sense of separateness, the one who observes, and the thoughts. And you might even start pulling up some of those very familiar thoughts. Oh, yes, here are the things I call myself. Here are the little snide comments I make. Here are those familiar phrases that I say every day. Maybe not to others, but to myself. So they come up, you just put them up there on a cloud. Take a breath, just watch them. Maybe there's a particular story or event or a situation that ruminates and cycles and loops around a million times. Like, oh yeah, that one. Put that up there. Just watch it. And of course, welcoming whatever reactions come up as you do this. You might notice you don't want to put the thought up there. You want to hold it in tight. So you just notice that, oh, I'm holding this one tight. And perhaps I can even put that reaction up there on the clouds. The desire to hold tightly to something. Or that desire to get rid of a thought, to get rid of a story or a familiar thing, and you try to push it and push it, and it's just stuck. It doesn't want to get up there in the clouds. It just sticks. So you notice, oh, stickiness is here. Isn't that interesting? And perhaps even just saying, I'm going to put stickiness up in the clouds. Just noticing. Again, that breath that says, I'm not getting rid of anything. I'm not changing anything. Nothing is good or bad or right or wrong. Simply emptying out, creating space. Creating space to breathe and see and observe. And you may notice there are tons of thoughts. More and more keep welling up. Or you might notice a quieting of the thoughts. Just breathing, simply noticing. Maybe even noticing a pause between the thoughts. but just a little bit of a breath, being present to what it's like to have a little bit more space. And sometimes, again, there might be a little bit of panic, a little bit of, yeah, but what if I'm empty, then what? And simply noticing that too. Like, oh, yes, panic might be here. Fear of what next? I don't know what's coming next. Fear of the unknown, uncertainty. I notice it. Put it on a cloud. Just observe it. Take a breath. Whatever comes up, you breathe, you notice it, and empty out. Just being with whatever is here, sitting, watching clouds go by. And taking a moment to really just sense that sense of difference, of being an observer, watching thoughts, rather than being the thoughts themselves. Emptying, watching, just breathing. And then letting go of the visualization, letting all of your awareness come to the breath. Noticing your breath, your body, your physical sensations, how your thinking feels right now in this moment, the emotions that are here. Breathing, taking in all of it. Breathing all the way out to the edges of yourself. And it's that sense of, ah, yes, this. I am present. I am here now. Breathing, inhaling all the way out to the edges, exhaling, and settling right there in the center of your chest. Almost feeling that expand and contract, just inhaling, breathing all the way out to the edges of yourself, exhaling, coming to the center point in your chest, just being. Taking a few more breaths. And when you feel ready, opening your eyes.